Today's episode is brought to you by Swish, the ultimate gift for the Dons fan in your life. Get them a video from their favourite Essendon player. James, I feel like there's only one player that anyone would want right now.
Yeah, he's hot property at the moment, Rob. I think because there's not too many other options. But the one and only Zachy Merritt, I'd be ordering one from Zach.
Yeah, if you use the code the Sash, you get 10% off at checkout. That's the Sash for 10% off at swish.com. You can find the link in our episode description and on all of our social media. Let's start the show. The Dons get pumped and we get sad. Here we go again. This is the Sash, definitely not the official podcast of the Essendon Football Club. I'm your host, Rob, here with you for the Monday review show, and joining me in the studio is James. Hello, mate.
Hey, Rob. How are you?
I've been better.
I've
been worse. Maybe I haven't been worse, but I've been better.
A bit flat is how I'm feeling. I said to you just off air when I arrived, sometimes it's not that you lost, it's how you lose. And I walked away pretty disappointed with how we lost that game because it looked all too familiar to years gone by. And you know, I know there's been a lot of commentary around a young list and young players, but in my opinion, you can still defend with intent, be accountable, arm across, not let your bloke have 10, 15 metres all the way up the ground.
Yes.
Allow short kicks. That doesn't take any skill. That takes effort and desire. And yeah, we didn't have it from the first bounce, and 160 points later, they blew the siren and we all went home, and some of us went and had a beer and drowned our sorrows. But yeah, we're all feeling pretty flat today.
Yeah, it was pretty grim. So grim that Jesse hasn't showed up, which is great. So we don't know where Jesse is. Hope he's okay. He may rock up halfway through the show. We don't know where Jesse is. Look, times are pretty good. We've played 2 games. We've lost both of them. We've conceded the most points in the AFL, more than teams who've played 3 times. So that's a win. Let's take that. So if we do the reverse ladder, do the points against, then we're right up there. So, it's my expectations were pretty low this season. I think I said we would finish 9th, which I'm
Slightly higher than the rest of us, though, I think.
Yeah, I was. You know, I try to be glass half full when I can, but I think about halfway through the game on Saturday that I went, I'm going to change my 9 to 12 to a 13 to 16 finish based on how we're playing right now. And yeah, like you said, you can make excuses, you can look at age brackets and all these things, but effort and intent doesn't require skill. I had no skill playing footy, but at least I tried most of the times when I was out there. Not all the times. I'm sure I've got a few coaches who'd say I didn't, but that's all you ask for. And sometimes it's the simple things. Just simple things, and it's like, okay, my teammates kicked a couple of goals at me. I'm the fullback for the Essendon Football Club. I'm getting paid a lot of money. Maybe I'll lay a bit of body on. Maybe I'll try and make him earn the next one rather than just zoning off 5 metres apart. And I do wonder, like, how much of this is coaching and how much of this is actually the players themselves, because there are points in that game where you're like, surely they're going to tighten up. Surely they're just going to lock down a bit harder. And they didn't. You're like, are they actually getting coached to be this far off their men to try and help someone out? Or are they just lazy? I don't know.
It's a good question. Like I've been pretty vocal that, you know, to me, a side coached by Brad Scott is going to be disciplined defensively, and a side that's captained by Zach Merritt is going to be pretty disciplined as well, because he's not someone that lets those sorts of things fly, but continuously we see.
Not this weekend.
And overall, apart from the man I just mentioned, no one wanted to put in
0
either way, to be honest. I've been talking about the defensive side, but it's two-way running in AFL, probably more important than ever. We clearly weren't playing a zone defence. We were playing a man on, but that only works if you're actually on your man, believe it or not. There was no arm across, as I said. Being at the game was really eye-opening, and I'm sure plenty of listeners were as well. Obviously on TV, you can only kind of see that 20, 30 metre kind of range, but this was happening all the way up the ground, well before the ball had even been transitioned. And I'm not sure whether the defenders in particular, but you know, every player, because that's a full ground scenario, whether they were waiting for a turnover or waiting for a ill-disciplined kick or an error of some description. But that's not going to happen when you allow guys to stroll.
No.
The likes of Dawson and Saliga aren't missing those kicks when there's no pressure on them. So I know everyone's going to talk ill about the back six, and I don't have much nice to say about them tonight as well. But I think it's honestly a whole team is accountable for that full ground defence, and no one was buying in, and we saw the result.
Yeah, exactly. Like, there were people sitting near me who were very vocal about certain players in our backline, and don't get me wrong, they didn't have good games, but there were times where I felt bad for them because the service that the Adelaide forwards were getting, and there are times where they did start on their man and they got beaten by a meter, but the kick was just so easy, so perfect because it had no pressure on the ball. What are they going to do? Like, I don't think the best defenders in the world would be stopping some of those deliveries because it's just so easy. And we've really been touting up some of these younger midfield guys in our team, and I do think there's big futures there for some of them. But if they're going to play the way they played this weekend, then you don't deserve to wear the red and black playing like that. We speak about this as the team we want to be. That was the furthest I've ever seen from that, and I think that's the worst game I've seen Essendon play since the Bulldogs' 21 goals in a row. Where was that, 2021, 2022?
I want to say 21, but
yeah.
Double check.
I can't remember if it was Ratton or Worsfold. But anyway, that's the worst game I've seen since then. And like I've said to a few mates this week, like over the weekend, I'm like, oh, where's your head at? And a few people have said to me, this is rock bottom for them. They feel like this is rock bottom because I guess because that Bulldogs game was probably late in the season. This is round 2. It's round 2, and being reactionary, I'm sitting here going, where's the next win? Where's the growth? Is there going to be a response? Like, we're playing on Thursday. It's nice that it's a fast turnaround. But I look at the team we've got. We've got more players on the injury list, even though they're not massive names. They're still important parts of the team, you'd think. This could be a really, really bad couple of months. And we might be looking at ourselves being like, who is available for pick 1 and 2? Who is available? Is it time for the Phantom draft guide already? Because finals looks no chance where we are right now, and wins look pretty far as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a few takes you referenced before, the Kel Toomey article, which if listeners haven't seen it yet, I encourage you to jump on AFL.com and have a look, because he's kind of looking at it through a bit more of a positive lens and maybe kind of buying into what the club has been pushing. And similar to what Brad Scott said in his presser today, it wasn't a reality check. This is the reality. But for me, I probably have a bit of a different view, and similar to yours there, Rob, I understand we're a young side. We had 10 players under 50 games on the weekend. No Ridley or Langford doesn't help that.
Well, I think it was 6 under 15 and 7 under 25. Now that's
a young side. There's no way around that. But it doesn't take any skill. It doesn't take any ability. It doesn't take any experience to chase, put your arm across, to defend your man or around the ground. And if anything, I'd expect more from a younger side who are fighting for their spot on an AFL list, trying to prove themselves. The one thing you can do, particularly if you're not getting the footy or the ball's not going your way, is defend.
Yeah. And the 6-7 guys who were under 25 games, they weren't the worst culprits. It was the guys who are 50 games plus, and even the few who are 100 games plus. Like, now there's only 4 of them who are in that bracket, but they're the guys who should be setting the standard. They're the guys who've been in the system long enough to know that this is what it takes to be in the AFL, and they weren't doing it. Now, some of them had some tough jobs and assignments for the day, and they had their hands full, but you can still be accountable to your man. But there was some insipid defensive efforts throughout that game. There were some players who were just looking for someone else to do the work for them. And, like, this team has to now win the respect back of the fans. I don't know how many are going to go on Thursday. I can't imagine it'll be many. I think it might be in the 20s, if that. And they have to win our respect back now, because expectations were low. If this game panned out the way the Hawthorn game did, we'd go, yeah, fair enough. They're a pretty strong team, Adelaide. Our team's pretty weak at the moment. Oh, well. But this is just inexcusable. Inexcusable performance.
Yeah, unacceptable. And, I've seen some people try and look at it through the lens of, we scored 100 points. I can guarantee any team throughout the season will happily have a shootout with us because they know that they're gonna. We'll score 100. They'll go and score 160. I was going to say 151 at 160 because Adelaide just did. They're obviously a really good outfit, but as I said, it's not that we lost; it's how we lost. And pretty tough pill to swallow. Round 2. This is what we're used to seeing towards the end of the season. Alarm bells are ringing this early on.
Yeah, it's pretty concerning, and some of the narrative coming from the club, and look, we've seen it a little bit now with some journalists sort of saying it publicly, and you can sort of listen to the way that Brad's been speaking publicly, and even just the actions. Like, if you read between the lines, they don't rate the list. It's clear now. If you haven't figured it out by yet, people, the club does not rate this list. They don't think they're going anywhere. We've already cutted a lot of people over the last 2 seasons, and there's likely more to happen. I was thinking about it myself. Now, if we exclude first and second year players, because look, you shouldn't be trading first and second year players. They're either good or they're not. You keep them when you delist them. I think there might be 3 players on the list who I would not consider a trade for. Maybe 4 if we're lucky. But you obviously keep Zach Barrett. You keep Jai Caldwell. You'd probably keep Durham. And I'd say you'd keep Martin. Yep. But the thing is, if a WA club came with an offer, you'd probably consider it. And we love Nick, but he wasn't running backwards. He wasn't defending. Those other 3 I named do. So everyone else is up for sale as far as I'm concerned. Like, you're all on notice. You've all got things to work on and prove yourself. Because if I was Matt Rose at the end of the season and I'm getting on the phone to clubs and they go, "Oh, who would you shop around?" They go, "Who would you like?" Because this list needs to be turned over. That's the fact. There's a lot of guys who we might get some growth for, but there's clearly some people we won't. There are some people who've been given some absolute monster contracts by Adrian Dodoro, which are sadly going to rot away at this club, and they're just not performing. It's inexcusable, and I could happily name them, but everyone knows who I'm talking about. We know the guys. Some of them tried. I think, look, Mason Redmond tried for what he could against Taylor Walker. He had a pretty tough task. Didn't lay a tackle for the day. But I can understand the role he was playing. But McGrath and Shield were hopeless. Ben Mackay was a shadow of an AFL player this weekend. I know he hasn't had a pre-season, but a pre-season doesn't stop you putting the body on.
That's right. Yeah.
Play in front.
Yeah.
Play in front of him.
Yeah. What's
stopping you doing that? What's stopping the coaches telling him from doing that? Is there something wrong with our defensive coach? I don't know. This is absolute alarm bells, this game. And it is going to be a long, long year. I hate saying it, but Mert was right. I'm a fool. I'm a fool for believing. I'm an absolute fool. Mert was probably right. I hope not. But it's really hard to see where these wins coming from, particularly when you consider that we've got a. I mean, he'll be a second gamer on Thursday. We've got a third gamer, a guy who's played about 10 games, and a ruckman in our forward line. And then our back line has, good on Reedy. His goal is to not get injured, and he's done that 2 weeks in a row. So I'm actually stoked for Reedy. I know he's got a hard job. But I said in the match react, and that was a reaction. I'd have a couple of beers, but I stand by it that was the worst back 6 that played in the comp over the weekend. Hands down. And Ridley back is going to help. I'd hope there's a mission from that back 6 to put him in there, and we're not just going to shuffle people around. But I'm ranting now, but this is pretty bad. Yeah, this is really bad.
It is, and in all forms, right? I've spoken a lot about the defensive side. The ball movement was non-existent. So you got issues defensively. You've got issues offensively. Selection was questionable. Adelaide are one of those teams that have that 3 tall attack, and we lost Ridley and brought in a small. We had Lewis Hayes in the reserves, have 27 disposals and took 16 marks. I reckon he would have been relatively handy there at some point.
At least another body, and then you can, and then hey, look, you can do that, and then you can free up Mason Redmond, and you can drop Jackson Pryor,
who was looking like a clone of Jake Kelly. Mind you, it was giving me shivers. I thought we'd finally seen the back of Kelly, and Pryor with the ball looking sideways, short chips.
I miss Jake Kelly. I'm sorry, Jake. I'm
Maybe
sorry.
come
I'm
back.
sorry I doubted you. Please forgive me for everything I've done. Please.
I usually pick out a bit of a whipping boy in these losses, but like I said to you before, it's actually hard to do the bads because
They're all
every
there.
player I came across, you could easily pick out footage. And like I said to you, there's a million footy shows now, and they have gone and picked out footage. And look, walking away from the game, it looked no different the second time around.
Damning. Absolutely damning. And yeah, this is a really, really dark place to be in because it's so early in the season. Things look really dire. And essentially, as a supporter base, you've either got to accept that we suck and it's going to be a long, hard year, or you get really angry every week. Because let's be frank, we're not winning a flag in the next 3 years. Tasmania's coming. I guess we just tank and just take as much to the draft as we possibly can. And we're probably going to suck for a while. And the thing that sucks is that we don't have patience as a supporter base because we've been terrible for 20 years. It's easy to bottom out when you're Hawthorn or you're Richmond because you've had a dynasty. It's like, hey guys, you understand how this is going. The supporter base goes, okay, it's fair enough. We don't have that luxury. Carlton don't have that luxury. St Kilda don't have that luxury. These clubs who are in this same position that to bottom out is going to be awful for the club. It is going to be really hard. And I think this is it. I think this is what we're doing. And it pains me to say it because I thought we were going to be average this year, but we're worse than average.
Yeah, I thought we'd turn the tide. And yeah, like I said, it's the same faults coming up all over again. And, you know, we've been through multiple coaches now and it's consistently poor in this defensive area, lack of buying in, lack of desire, lack of effort. And I can't understand how multiple coaches can come through. The list has nearly turned over completely in the last few years with only Scott under the helm, let alone a couple of other coaches that have been and tried to implement their plans, but yet somehow it's always the same issues. And I'm baffled, and I've tried to look at it positively. It will change, and you know Scott's had to do some cleaning out, and I'm glad he has. But you look on the weekend, and again, it's the same rotting issues. So you start to wonder what else can change. How much more can we change?
Yeah,
why is this ingrained in our club?
I think it starts with recruitment and it ends with coaching. It starts with recruiting because you need to recruit players who have that attitude, will buy in to be defensive rather than being offensively minded players who are happy to be flashy with the ball. And then it comes all the way across through development and everything else and then to coaching. But if you don't recruit the right players and you don't develop them right, then you end in this situation. And it feels like we've failed at every one of those hurdles over however long, you know. Like I like to look at things as you know, post saga. I think it's anything that happened pre then is kind of hard to get a gauge on what was going good and bad. But post saga, it's just been the same stuff.
I would argue there though that if you have a really strong culture and you look at your Sydneys and your Geelongs as examples of this for a long time, that if you drafted a player that, you know, at 18 potentially doesn't even know what an AFL lifestyle or culture looks like, and you draft them into a club where there's a squad of 40 players that are all bought in and they've lived that lifestyle, that player will mould. Whereas you come into Essendon at the moment, and you said it before, you look around and there's experienced players not doing the tough stuff or not doing what I really want to do. So why would I do it? Yeah. So then that starts to become the norm. The standards you walk past are the standards that are set for the club. So to me, I'd kind of argue that even if we are recruiting players that are maybe talented, but the attitude to work defensively isn't there, if you have a really strong culture and a really strong club with strong standards, that player will mould. But for us, it seems to be, oh, well, I've looked around and no one else is doing it. So
he's getting paid 10 times me and he doesn't try, so I guess I'm not going to try either. Yeah, I mean, Brad's spoken at length about how that hasn't been there and that only recently they're really embracing this new culture and that people were ridiculed for being like that, which is like, that was like the worst thing I read all summer was the fact that previously players who were like, I'm going to put the extra time and I'm going to work hard, other players were sort of like, oh, look at you, you know, why are you doing that? And no wonder we've sucked. No wonder we've had these guys who've been in this club for over the past 10, 15 years, 20 years who've, had some great highlights and done some great things, and I'm sure they're all people's favourites back home, but those are the people, everyone's been letting the next generation down, and then we've got to this point where it looks like we're about to go down a real North Melbourne-ish area, and not the North Melbourne who played on the weekend and won by 10 goals. It's really hard to think about, and it's going to be very interesting to see which of the players who get through this next bout of cuts, because there are some obvious ones who are probably on the older end, but there's so many problems. And look, we could win on Thursday and they could redeem it and we all go, okay, it was just a once-off. But I don't know if this team's earned a mulligan. Good teams earn mulligans,
Yeah.
Good teams have a bad night and you go, it's okay. They're still a good team. I don't think this team's in a position that they can get one of those right now, because it doesn't look like a win is actually tangible.
Not with the way we lost.
No,
not at all.
I heard on the radio Dwayne Russell joking, being like, Essendon have Port on the weekend. Port aren't very good. And I'm like, they've beaten us at Marvel 10 times in a row by average of 10 goals.
Yeah.
We're going to get murdered on Thursday night. I hope I'm wrong, but it feels like it's going to be really bad. Unless there has been an actual shift. Unless there has been an actual change and they've actually worked something and people are going to buy in. Otherwise, we're going to find ourselves in this position where Zach Merritt's the only one chasing. It's very grim, James.
Speaking of, to talk about, things that are ingrained in our club and, guys that work hard aren't celebrated. Merritt didn't get included in a leadership group because his feedback was too harsh on some of our players. Look at the standard that man plays to and his work ethic compared to everyone else on that list at the moment. It says a lot. And yeah, pretty flattening, as I said. It's round 2. I don't want to be sitting here talking like this, but the reality is that's what was dished up, and we're here to review the game. Adelaide looked like a good outfit, but as I said, they didn't have to do much.
No.
They didn't have to do anything crazy.
No.
They took 129 marks for the day. We had 59. It wasn't exactly breaking the lines, or obviously Rankin's goal was amazing, but the rest was pretty.
It was pretty sick, that goal.
Pretty basic. One highlight for you.
Yeah, it was great.
Pretty basic footy for most of the day, because that's all that was asked of them. Why go above and beyond when you've got a 15, 20 metre kick in front of you at all times? And again, listeners would have seen the footage. They chose one player. Gee, there was 3 blokes that were pretty unlucky not to get the footy as well. So, a lot to turn around, but we have the opportunity to respond. It is obviously the short turnaround on Thursday night. We'll see what happens, but it's going to be a long season if that keeps continuing.
It is, and that is the scariest part of all this, is that this is round 2. We usually save these chats for round 20. I think I've had 20 DMs saying, "Is it the funeral already?" I was close. I was close to calling it already.
Yeah.
People get upset when I do it too early in the season, but we could be there in a few weeks, people, if the team keeps playing like this, because it's that sort of meme. Expectations were low, but holy shit, that was Yeah,
I think
terrible.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were probably in the boat that they thought the tide might start to turn, and if anything, it looked like we'd gone backwards, and I hate to say it, but that looked like players had checked out. And again, it's round 2, so yeah. Oh well. Do you want to jump into some individual performances? I'm a bit scared to do it because
I don't know if we need to single out this thing. If we're going to single people out, we may as well do it when we get to the goods, because there's so few of them.
Won't take
we haven't got the time to go through all the players who are bad.
It'd be unfair to name a few, wouldn't it? Because you leave it out.
Because you got to name everyone.
15 other blokes.
Exactly. You've probably got to name 17 players on the list, because a lot of them were terrible. Half the midfield was crap. Pretty much all the defenders were bad. Most of the seniors bad, except for Merritt. Some of the forwards struggle. The ruckmen were pretty average. That's it. There's nothing I can say that I haven't already said about Mackay or Shield or McGrath or Redmond or whoever else, Gresham, Martin, Perkins. I could keep going. Like I said, there is enough time, but like watch every one of the 1,000 footy shows that I'm sure are leading with Essendon tonight because it's a hot story and Essendon get clicks and views because we're a big club. So I don't know. Things are dark. I hope my rant has satisfied people who are wanting fire and brimstone tonight. And if you're a glass half full person, then good on you. I hope it turns. I hope Thursday we can bounce back and win some respect back. And if you're brave enough to go on Thursday, well, good on you. Because I'm not going. But actually, I wasn't planning on going to this game anyway, regardless of how this weekend went. But I'm certainly not going. I'll be staying home for this one. And yeah, could get ugly.
Yeah, they've got a good record there. And in a really close, tough competition, if a club can spot a weakness in a side, or a side that doesn't have that, dare I say it, mental edge, and, I saw a few posts today, people expect a response for about 10, 15 minutes before it gets all too hard and Port kick a couple out the back and we fold again. If clubs can start lining that up, it's going to be a really long season, as I said, because you don't get many easy wins in this competition at the moment.
Nope, you certainly don't. Unless you play Essendon, apparently.
Well,
unless you play Essendon.
Most teams you scrap and you fight and it's really hard. Footy tips will tell you that it's pretty hard to predict how teams are going to go at the moment, and teams have a poor week and then they respond and they come out breathing fire. We get the opportunity to do that Thursday night, but if we don't, teams are going to start penciling us in as the game where they can really cash in and boost percentage heading towards finals and really start to beat us up, knowing that, as I said, we'll fold pretty quickly when things get all too hard. So
just give Ben Keys a call. He'll tell you how easy it is to play against Essendon.
I did note down, out of so many bads, just beaten by what we know as well. Ben Keys plays his grand final again. Rochelle also kicks 4. They both kicked 4.
And a guy who's played 9 games kicks 4 goals. Dan Curtin. The guy that they took before Nate Caddy, who looked amazing because they were kicking it to him and not on his head or to the ground or out of bounds on the full. Yeah, it's grim.
And also, as I posted in the chat, the subbing of Rankin. I said not too long after halftime. Maybe I was exaggerating. Let's go halfway through the third quarter. Is just so insulting. Deserved.
Oh, yeah.
But
totally deserved.
So insulting. Like, can you ever imagine an Essendon game where halfway through the third quarter we just said, hey, Zach, just jump on the bench. Ice up, mate. We've got a tough game next week. Let's pull the pin.
Yep. These guys are no good.
Must be nice. Out of everything, that's got to be the biggest fuck you to us.
Must be nice. Must be very, very nice. Should we do some positives? I'll
try.
I'll
try.
Yeah. So, Sash Fan Player of the Year Award brought to you by Waxit Car Care. Find the best car care products at waxit.com.au. You can use the link in the episode description, for 10% off. Votes will be interesting, James. Should we... I don't know. I find after these losses, that's almost more interesting to find out who got 1 because I feel like we know who's got the top. But should I do the traditional 1 to 5 or should we go reverse for the second week in a row?
I think just the way that the game went, we'll go 5 first because I think. I'm just having a look at the leaderboard now. Yeah, fair.
It's pretty standard. So 5 votes, no surprise. Zach Merritt got 5 votes for Essendon. Collected a whopping 777 across everyone who voted. So thank you for doing that. With 4 votes, Jai Caldwell got 4 votes, 385. With 3 votes on debut, Big Tommy Edwards. He was pretty good. He has a crack.
He tried.
He
tried really hard.
For a guy who looks quite slight of frame, he looks like someone who hasn't had the AFL, gym program for 5 or 6 years. He attacked the footy very hard and was clearly just outbeaten by bigger, stronger guys a lot of the time. But he's a find. He could be all right over the next couple of years if we keep him fit and keep him there.
He got mauled a couple of times, but he's got beautiful goal sense. We saw it in the practice games. We saw it on the weekend. He had little to no decent service as well. As I said, got mauled a couple of times by some big AFL bodies. But still managed to get on the end of a few. So he looks promising, and I'm sure we'll dull his shine as he as he goes forward with us. But like many players seem to do on debut for us when they've still got their sparkle.
Yeah.
Nick Martinesque kicked a few in his debut. So it'll be interesting to see what they do this week with selection. But I'm sure that he'll get another crack.
Yep. 2 votes. Big Sammy Draper, who kicked 3 goals, had a very weird action, and he shushed his own fans, which I found, strange. Like the audible groan when he did that amongst the stadium was something else. But to his credit, he kicked 3 straight. So as
Still
weird
worth
as it
6
is,
points. Yep.
and as non-traditional as it is, I think we have to accept that if this works for him, good. Let him do it.
I feel like in the Hawthorn game, he kicked a pretty decent drop punt goal from a fair way out on a bit of an angle.
Yeah. Might be a distance thing. I don't know.
So I'm just wondering, has he kicked 4 straight for the year?
That's a very good question.
I know the audible groan and I know the frustration and the misses from straight in front, but unless I missed a behind somewhere, I reckon he's kicked 4 straight.
Yeah. I mean, like, he's clearly put the time in over the summer because he's known that they're going, hey, we're going to be running the combo with Nick Bryan. You're going to need to spend some time forward. So you got to.
And Scott was asked about it today, I think, and he kind of said, I'd be disappointed if he just pulled that out of nowhere. But he's worked on this for 12 months.
He's kicked 4 goals too.
4 goals too. There you go.
Okay, so he did kick 2 behinds, but he's there. Look, it's an improvement on what we've seen before from him. So if it's working, I think keep doing it. And then 1 vote, Elijah Sardis. 1 vote. It was a little bit. I thought he was okay, but I was surprised to see him featured in the votes. But I guess when the pool is as thin as it was, someone had to get the 1. But to his credit, playing with a broken hand, and he still had some pretty good numbers for what was like 70% game time or 60-something percent game time.
Yeah, his time on ground is low, but he's on ball when he is on ground, and that's certainly what I asked for. I don't want to see him playing out of position. I'd rather him either resting or playing in his best spot on ball. And he had 11 clearances for the day. Extremely clean hands, and one of them was broken. He did only have 1 tackle, but I sort of put an asterisk next to that when I realised that his hand was no good. Arguably 2 tackles if you count the one on Durham, I think it was, which was
probably the best tackle.
Body.
Yeah, probably the best
body we saw.
Best body we had late all night. On your dons. That's the best tackle we laid all night.
Yeah, you can have a rest now. You can have a week off because that's what happens to our good young players. Seemingly.
Yeah, you get hurt. I mean, it was like, it's obviously hard to find positives in a game like that, but we did see in small spaces there what this guy could be as an absolute, clearance contested beast who can get the ball out to other people. That's what he can do. Long way to go. Still very young, but if he can have a relatively healthy year, obviously he's got this little knock now, but if he can still get around the 20 game mark, I'd feel pretty confident that 2026 he's going to be playing some pretty reasonable footy.
Yeah.
I think there's something there. The kicking's obviously another equation altogether, but if he can win it and get the hands off to someone else, great. There was a few times where he had the ball in a bit of space and you could just see the gears kind of ticking over, being like, oh, God, how am I meant to do this again? Yep. And then tries to kick it to someone, but yeah.
Do you think that Sardis and Parrish can play in the same team? There was talk today of Parrish coming back through the VFL, but we've obviously got a bye coming up soon as well. Say both are fit, ready to go after that bye. Are they both in the same team, or do you think that they're vying for the 1 spot? Just in terms of the type of play that they are.
I mean, they're very similar, but I would think and hope, knowing that we're not going to win shit this year, that you'd play them both and then you'd make moves elsewhere. So if that meant Merritt has less centre bounce time, or Durham spends a bit more time half forward or across the wing, or whoever else was running through there on the weekend. If it just means the spread's a bit different, I think they can still play.
Mm-hmm.
It's how they work together at a centre bounce. But look, we haven't been very good in that space this season, evidently. So if there's two guys who are very good at winning the first use, good. We might win some stoppages and have them effective, or we win them and turn them over very quickly, which is also quite possible. Quite possible. So Sardis obviously missed Thursday's game, as will Archie Perkins, who has a sore quad. It is obviously a very, very short turnaround to that game. Any other goods or points you'd like to make before we have a break?
Lewis Hayes played a good game in the twos. That was my
get him in.
That's where my review started going today. When I was looking for goods, I went to the VFL. He took 16 marks. So whether he gets his opportunity on Thursday night, I'm not sure. I don't think Port Adelaide's forward stocks are that as healthy as Adelaide's. But if we're going to talk about development and trying to find some positives out of playing this way, giving blokes like him an opportunity to see what they're made of, I'm not against. And then there was talk today of Archie Wicks maybe making his debut as a bit of a like-for-like replacement for Perkins. So, yeah, that's where I had to go for my positives, Rob. I think we ticked off all the others. I was just going to speak about Caldwell again. He tries his guts out every time. Said it last year, I'll say it again. Why he's not in the leadership group over someone like McGrath, I'm not really sure, but probably screams a lot about where we're at and the sort of performance that was dished up. Sort of worried a little bit about him being run into the ground with his style of game with no assistance around him.
Yeah.
He's obviously had injury troubles in the past. I just wonder, with such a long season and the intensity in which he plays with, as I said, little to no help around him and no one else really getting stuck in physically, you just wonder how he can maintain that. But outside of him, Merritt, and I noted down Sardis, it was few and far between for my positives.
There weren't many. Let's take a break, everyone. We'll be back after this and we'll listen to some hot takes. Should be good. This halftime break is brought to you by Ticket Merchant for the 2025 AFL season. Whether you're looking for tickets to an Essendon match, maybe some Medallion Club, you want to catch a concert, a comedy show, whatever it may be, the Ticket Merchant is the place for you. Ticketmerchant.com.au or theticketmerchant.com.au, it says here, and you explore the massive range of tickets that they have. See you after the break. Much better. Now, it's timely we introduced a new segment to the show. We were going to start it last week. We'll do it this week. It's probably the only thing we're going to get any positive out this week, so please enjoy our new segment.
Dazed, death drive, implosion, knee injury, future first.
That's right. Melbourne lost. Woo! Hey, we're going to have 2 top 5 picks to fuck up this year. Woohoo! Yeah! Go North. They smashed them. So that was good.
They did. Yeah, they certainly did. It's been a while since I've seen North put on goals like that. But, every little bit helps for us this year. And if I can't cheer my team, I'm happy to just jump on the bandwagon of another team losing, much like I do already with the Collingwoods and the Carltons of the world. We can add Melbourne to that and hope there's some positive out of this year.
Yeah, it's probably the only thing we're going to be celebrating much this year is Melbourne losing. North looks scary. I think they might end their drought against us this year, sadly. At Thursday night games looking a bit grim. Let's get into some hot takes, though. That is, of course, what people want to tune in for. So let's play the stinger and we'll get into that. Let's listen to it. Here we go. Oh, my God.
Where we get some totally rational and well-adjusted opinions onto the pod. On the Sash, it's Hot Takes.
Hot takes.
It's nice to hear it.
Yeah,
you forget sometimes.
You forget sometimes how it sounds. Oh, here we go, everyone. This will be fun. Inundated is the word I will use.
I have no doubt.
I will use, James. Inundated. Not many, I'd say, comedy-themed ones. There was a lack of jokes, but that's okay. We're all pretty upset, as you can imagine. Of course, I can't play them all, so sorry if you don't get played, particularly the ones that went on for minutes, hours. Someone sent in like 5 consecutively, and the last one was them being like, "Oh, don't play that last one; it wasn't very good." It's just like, you're sending that many. I'm probably not going to play any of them, to be honest. So, let's start with a good friend of the show, Rory from Scotland, off the top. So let's have a listen to this one. See if it makes the cut.
It's 4:28 a.m. End of the third quarter. We're getting pumped rotten. I've drank so much coffee, I think I'm going to shit myself. Fuck it. Fuck the Dons. Fuck Brad Scott. I'm away in my bed. You're not worth my fucking time anymore.
4:30 a.m.
Yeah.
is a bad time to be watching the Essendon. Bad time.
1:20 on a beautiful Melbourne day at the G was a bad time.
I know.
I feel for you there, Rory.
It was a perler of a day, and even we had a shit time. All right, where do I go to next? There's so many of these to get through. I'm just going to play the short ones, I think. The bloke from that vid we all like.
Get a big dog up your Bombers. You fucking deserve it. Fuck you all.
Straight to the point. This is the Badger. Thank you, Badger.
That's it, fellas. I think I figured it out. Just leaving the match now, and I realised the problem is we've got serious medical issues. Team's got heaps of allergies. I think Zachy Reed's allergic to the weights room. I think Elijah Sardis is allergic to hitting a teammate when he kicks the footy. I think Andy McGrath is allergic to just playing footy full stop. Shit, I think the only guy who doesn't have an allergy is Zach Merritt, and I'm kind of surprised because if I was him, I'd be allergic to all my teammates because they're so shit compared to him. Fuck! At least the hot takes are going to be sweet.
Yep. I feel your Badge.
I did see Merritt holding his shoulder at one point. I thought sometimes the jokes write themselves.
Yeah, I know.
Merritt's got sore shoulders. It's round 2.
Yeah, I know. He's been carrying them for too much. Matt H. Thank you, Matt.
How we going, boys? What a disgrace that was. Just thought I'd jump on here and talk about our vice captain. Quite ironic, really. He was on SEN 2 weeks ago talking about his mental health and well-being company. I think it's time for a little bit less spooky, more learn to kicky. Andy? Thanks.
That was good. Yeah, the mental health stuff is important, but I think priority number 1 does need to be playing footy. That's your core business.
Yeah, you'd hope so. I did have a chuckle at someone on Bomber Blitz talking about the selection of the Port game, and it was out Pando. And I wish I didn't get that reference, but shout out to whoever that was.
Yeah. The Art of the Essendon Football Club. Let's have a listen.
I feel like I have to quickly add something. I'd like to put out a public apology to Laverde and Jake Kelly. I feel really bad for all the things I said about him last year. I really wish you guys were back, and you never know what you have, so you don't have it.
Yeah. I second that motion. Yeah. Actually, can't wait till Laverde's fit, if I'm being honest with you. Can't wait. That's where we're at. That's where we're at right now. This one's from Gaz. Thank you, Gaz.
G'day, guys. 2 things I'm really grateful for this year as an Essendon supporter. Number 1, memberships are cheap. I'm really grateful for that. And number 2, Ben Mackay didn't cost us a lot of money. Always got to look on the bright side. Go Plains.
There you go. Always look on the bright side, everyone. We'll do a longer one. This is Tom from Parkville. Thank you, Tom. If it loads, what's it doing? No, talk amongst yourselves, James. What's going on with you?
I'm just having a look at the list here, and we, you weren't wrong. We were inundated.
Yeah.
There's a few to pick from here.
There's a few to pick from.
G'day, boys.
Okay.
Look, I say this is the highest possible compliment. Sam Draper is an absolute spud, but if we had 22 blokes who were complete and utter spuds but had half the heart of Sam Draper, then I would be so much happier with this team. At the end of the day, I can cop us losing. I can cop us losing badly. I can cop us losing badly with a team that is objectively poor. What I can't cop is the complete lack of heart, the complete lack of effort from so many players in our team this week. It's honestly all it takes is having some people who will go out there and give it their all and try their hardest. And at the moment, it just doesn't seem like we have 22 guys who are willing to do that. I'm glad we have a handful of players who do, and we are incredibly lucky to see players like Zach Merritt come through our club. But Jesus Christ, man, unless we get something through in the mentality of the players where they're willing to try a little bit harder and give it their all, we're in for another 20 long years. But anyway, we keep going. See you all on Thursday night. Can't Plains.
There we go. I don't think Tom voted for Sam in the best votes this week. I don't think he did.
I just got that feeling.
Yeah, I just got that feeling he didn't vote for him. Just got that feeling.
He nailed it.
Got that
Absolutely
feeling.
nailed my thoughts as well.
Yep. Nico the Sicko. Thank you, Sicko.
Mate, the way that we played today is fucking embarrassing. I swear to God, if we go inside 50 one more time and kick it on Kako or fucking someone else's head and it doesn't fucking do anything, expecting to mark it with 2 other blokes, I'm going to spew up. It's a fucking disgrace. Round 2, we should be fired up. Yes, we're inexperienced, but fuck me, boys. Just be better.
There you go. Nico is definitely Sicko. Corey. Thank you, Corey. Yep. Cheer squad, Thursday. I want to hear that, please. That'd be great. Next is Jono. Thank you, Jono.
How much longer are we going to continue for Zach Merritt to carry this team on his back every single week, week in and week out? When is he going to get the support that he needs and he deserves? Defensively, no application, no efforts, incompetent in every way possible. When is it going to end? When?
When's it going to end? Hold on. I'm just going to call Jesse real quick.
What did he say?
We'll just go live on the pod.
Hello.
Hey, mate. How you going?
Good. Good. How are you?
Good. So can you explain to James and I why you weren't in the studio, what you've been doing?
Well, I was doing the opposition pod tonight. I just did the opposition pod.
That's commitment. That's commitment. See, I thought you were coming here. I was like, oh, look, if we scrap that, we scrap that. But you're doing the Oppo preview.
I was on for tonight.
You gotta check the roster, mate. That's why we have a roster.
Oh God, I'm just doing so many things at once at the moment. I'm all over the place. I'm sorry about that.
That's okay.
But I got 50 minutes out with fucking old mate Dave. He wasn't as bogan as what you said.
It's because it's a different pod. We're actually live on the air right now, so yeah.
Shout out to Dave.
The Bogan Port podcast is a different Port podcast. I'll just make that point. So sorry, Dave, if you're listening.
Well, I don't think Dave's going to be listening. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
He did have to say that he has never felt nervous or fearful hasn't felt nervous or fearful of Essendon for a very long time. So that was, it's really good to hear.
That's great. That's great. Well, the listeners will love listening to that, Jesse. I'll see you on Friday because we're going to do a pod on Friday after the game. So I'll see you then.
Okay, I'm on again, guys.
Yeah.
Enjoy it. I'm very sorry, Faithful, for not being on. But to be honest, I'd be really dark, and you probably wouldn't want to hear from me anyway. So love you all, and good night.
It's all good. I've lit a torch on it just for your absence, so it's been good.
Great.
All right.
Great.
See you, mate.
See you, lads. Bye.
That's really funny. That's some real good fucking management from me that he's recording another show when he's meant to be on this one. But anyway, that's fine.
Double booked him.
Hey, at least we got an opposition preview this week, so that's good. This one is from Brodels. Thank you, Brodels or Brodels.
This is what we wanted, right? A gut of the club, a gut of the list, bottom out, actually get some good kids in that we can develop properly, stop finishing 8th to 13th, and have a good, proper crack at it. This is what we wanted, right?
He makes a good point. Like, How many times over 5-10 years have you seen someone on social media say that we never bottomed out? We've never bottomed out. We haven't got the spine to build across, and that's what we need to do. Now we're kind of doing that. Are the people who are upset? Are they the same people? Because I know a lot of people I've seen online who are regular commenters on our channels and I've seen them on the Essendon page as well, and they've been calling for this bottoming out. And now it feels like this is what's happening. And I don't see those same people pleased by what's going on.
Well, to defend those people, it's sort of, I think they would probably say similar to what I've said, and it's the sense of you can still bottom out and have a crack.
Yeah.
We weren't having a crack.
No.
And that's the issue. And you know, you listen to these hot takes and you read those comments online. I think that's what people have the issue with. Not that we're potentially going to finish bottom four, but the way we go about it, the attitude, the desire or lack of, that seems to be the issue. But at the same time, it's a whole lot of pain when you properly bottom out, regardless. And the season's never been longer, and it's going to feel like that this year for us. So, yeah, if you want to bottom out, you might be seeing it. It's not going to be pretty, but yeah, I would say you can still have a crack and just not be good enough and lose the big moments. We did not have a crack.
This next one's from Brad Scott Extension. I wonder what this is about.
G'day, lads. I was at the game today, and yeah, I got a bit sunburnt. But you know what's more burnt than my face? My fucking heart.
Oh.
How much more can we take of this shit? Honestly. Imagine they used our defensive structure in World War II. Fuck, we'd be a communist country like 40 years ago. Fuck, we wouldn't stand a chance.
I think that young fella, and he sounds young. Listen, I think you might need to pop down to the library, or even just go on Netflix,
anywhere,
and put a bit of World War II on colour on, and you'll learn that we weren't fighting communists in World War II. So just just pop down. I'm sure one of the lovely people who work at the library will point you in the section. You'll find some, old blokes sitting there reading their World War II books. Or, like I said, get on any of your streaming platforms. There's countless docos about it, and you'll learn that they weren't communists.
And whilst you're there, you can ask those old blokes what it was like when we were fucking good.
When we were good.
They were there.
Yeah, they were there. They were definitely there. All right, this is Depressendon. Thank you.
G'day, boys. Are any of you just so sick of hearing about the standards and how much the standards have lifted? I mean, I just watch this team escort players down the ground, don't defend. It's been happening for years. We sacked 2 coaches for it. This one can't get us to defend either. I mean, what do we have to do? We can't abuse them anymore online. I mean, what do we have to do to motivate them? Mert was right. Brad Scott is an AFL plant. And, shit.
I was just looking at the stats. So, I said that if one of their guys kicked 4 goals, he kicked 1 goal. The screen of the MCG was playing up. It said Dan Curtin kicked 4 goals. I was like, I
didn't even question it because I just thought, another one kicked 4 goals.
I haven't looked. I literally haven't looked at any of the stats until now because I just didn't want to. I felt like I didn't need to look at them. And I looked at it then. I was like, he kicked 1 goal. I was like, okay, well there you go. The scoreboard of the MCG, he said he kicked 4. Or maybe it was a 1 and I'm losing my eyesight, but I don't know.
Oh, he's probably the only one that missed out then.
Yep. Next one's from Alex. Thank you, Alex.
G'day, boys. I'm sure there's been plenty of negativity today on the pod. But I actually come with a couple of questions. First one is that the worst team on paper we've fielded since 2016? I think it is. And the second one, on a lighter note, is Zach Merritt a top 5 Essendon player of all time? I think he is.
Question 1.
On notice without going back through.
It'd be close.
Yeah. Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. Without having a look. There's been some fucking terrible ones.
Yeah. Well, that's it. I mean, is the team who conceded 21 goals in a row to the Bulldogs worse than that team? I feel like that might have been.
On paper, that was a very inexperienced young side, and then the performance to back it up. It's pretty hard to argue.
Yeah. Merritt could be a top 5 Don when he ends his career.
Yes.
Hopefully he ends it not as someone who hasn't won a final. But, yeah, in the conversation. Garrett from Canada. Good to hear from Garrett.
Well, boys, another season. Congrats to Ryan on the kid. I just had my 3rd boy. And the struggles of teaching boys how to do things, it's easier watching Essendon because I know I can take a step back and say, hey, you might not learn how to do something until you're 30, like kick a football or run properly. It's a long season, but looks like we're actually going to do a rebuild. There's positives. My Kako goes cuckoo for Kako. Zach Merritt's going to probably win a Brownlow if he keeps playing like that. Maybe just get Zach Reed injured so he doesn't have to play and can just learn on the sidelines. I don't know.
There we go.
Up the Plains.
Question for you.
Yeah.
Merritt, 36 disposals, 4 goals in a day where we got belted in just about every area.
Yeah.
3 votes?
Nah, surely they give him 1. You can't get, like, he was awesome, but, like, a couple of those goals were, like, towards the end was pretty junk. Like, I love Zach, but, like, I think the Brownlow is a crock of shit. I think it's poorly voted on, and I think it lost any sense of being good when Job got stripped.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he gets 3 votes for that. Like, it'd be outrageous if he got 3 votes.
Well, yeah, you just don't know. I mean,
1, yes.
I feel like
2,
traditionally
maybe.
people say you don't get 3 in a losing game, but I feel like the last couple of years that started to change.
Yeah, if you don't Paddy Cripps, you can. It doesn't matter. Well, that's it. Look, he probably will, but I don't agree with it. I think it's wrong. Who else have we got? I mean, this is a funny gag, but I'll skip that one. It goes for too long. Where are we? There's so many here. Oh, this will be good. Morgan Donman.
Must admit, I didn't think much of Ben Mackay when I first laid eyes on him. He had the body of a dominant fullback, but the coordination of a blind Dutch woman at table tennis. I hope that he takes his $1.3 million contract and donates it to victims of identity fraud. I hope Dylan Shields stops wasting our time and pretending to be a halfback.
Just cuts off there. Has some quality AI if I've ever heard it. People are worried about AI, but if it's making stuff like this, I'm all for it. All right, we're on the home straights. We've got 4 to go. Boris from Bond Beach. Thank you, Boris.
Essendon fans, this is what bottoming out, finally bottoming out looks like. Should have been done minimum 5 to 10 years ago. Conservative old Essendon, steeped in tradition, worried about commercial returns, etc., not chopping a disaster of a recruitment and list manager, all of the above. This is where we are now. 8-year plan, 1-year extension. This is what bottoming out looks like. It's a tanking year. Accept it. If you haven't put the pieces together, well, I'm telling you, we are tanking. This is what it looks like. Accept it. We are shit. Go Dons.
Straight down the line.
Is it weird that fired me up?
Yeah.
Is it weird there that I was like, yeah, let's tank, yeah. I don't know why. They got me up and about. Send in more, Boris. That was good. Jay-Z. Thank you, Jay-Z.
Fuck me. To describe Essendon shitness, it would be dog shit, then 50 fucking metres of liquid shit, and then Carlton, and then fucking Essendon. That's how shit we are.
Eloquently put. It's a nice image for everyone in their cars at home, wherever they're listening, maybe on the train. 2 to go. Chris. Thank you, Chris.
G'day, fellas. Didn't know
how to really respond to that match. Like, it was obviously shit. But I'm not worried about our season anymore. Like, it's done. I'm all about pick watch. And the D's losing to North is the greatest thing to happen to this weekend, because our draft hand for this year is going to be fantastic if they're going to be this shit up the plains.
That's it, Chris. That's it. Get around them. All right. There's only one way to wrap up this show. Exactly.
Crafty crows create cravenly capitulation. Disgraceful dons display a dearth of dignity. Weak-willed wombats wobble woefully. Pathetic plains pursue purgatory perpetually. Here I go again on my own. Show the captain some respect, for fuck's sake.
Lurker doesn't often drop the magic in his hot takes.
Nah, he does not.
That says a lot.
He does not. He does not. I reckon they need to get him down to the club just to fire everyone up. Just get every player in a room.
Kiddies away.
Get every player in a room and just get Lurker just to be like, point at Zach and be like, show him some respect. Come on. Yeah. Fire up. Fire up, Dons. That was very good.
Oh, that was good.
Very, very good. Well, that's going to be the end of our show. James, do you feel any better after a show like this?
Always after hot takes.
Yeah.
Makes me laugh. It's getting harder and harder to find something to smile and laugh about at the moment. But no, the hot takes always put a smile on my face. And yeah, it's therapy, as you say. You come in here, you think you're all alone, but you're not. We're all in it. We're all in it together.
Yeah, we're all in this together, everyone. We're in this for eternity. Well, thank you, everyone, for watching or listening to this evening's show. Thank you, everyone who supports the show, particularly our premium members. You can, of course, sign up to become a premium member. It's only $5 a month. $5 a month or $42 for the entire year. You get an extra show every single week, the premium preview. You also get an ad-free experience. Maybe you don't like the ads. Maybe you're sick of hearing us talk about whatever it is we're talking about. And you don't have to listen to the ads either. And you do get access to the premium members Discord, which I'll tell you went into meltdown, as you can imagine, during the game. But of course, thank you to all those people. Thank you to our sponsors as well, Swish, Waxit, and the Ticket Merchant. They do make things possible here, and we're very appreciative of what they do. James, final thoughts, mate?
Quick response. Thursday night, we move on, put that one to bed. The season is still young, but yeah, we'll see what they're made of come Thursday, and I'll see you Wednesday for the preview.
Yep,
I've checked the roster, and I am on.
You checked the roster. Jesse, take note. There is a roster. Look at it. We discuss these things for a reason. But thank you for that. Respond. Win back our respect. I'm doing my Sam Newman hands here. Win back our respect. Please, Essendon. Fight. Don't have to win. I just want to see some fight. See everyone. Bye.